Imagine this. It's a late night and you wake up, unable to sleep. Worried alone in your own dark room as a child, you instinctively want to feel protected. After making the harrowing trek to your parents' room, you beg to spend the night with them. They oblige, and after a while you're able to fall back to sleep. Or so you thought. You wake up to something inexplicable. A white-haired, dog-eared man is fighting demons on your parents' TV. It seems reminiscent of a cartoon, but aside from the animation, it seems to have more going on. Stakes? Danger? And was that blood you just saw? You can't help but be drawn to what you're seeing until it abruptly ends, and strangely enough, leaves you wanting more. And that was my very first experience with anime, seeing it on Adult Swim on a late night in my parents' bed. Since then, I've been gladly willing to express my fascination with otaku culture, Japan, and anime as an art form itself. However, I told this anecdote in order to bring to attention the star of today's video, and illustrate a picture of what's to come. Something big. And while it may not have been the most popular, the most revered, and I dare say might say it's one of the least popular of the three, its influence and rise were definitely rocking with the rest of the big three. You have to defeat them. Rukia was wounded violently by a hollow, or in other words, a spirit that couldn't ascend to the next life and became what you would call a demon. In her weakness, she decides the only way that they'll both survive this fateful encounter with the hollow is to offer up her Soul Reaper powers to Ichigo in order for him to be able to fight against the hollow. Because of Ichigo's nature, he's just not able to sit aside and let someone die in front of him, whether spirit or human. He accepts Rukia's blade and then becomes the substitute Soul Reaper. And this is where early Bleach truly shines.
Won't love her, and he's more than a cover, he's a quilt. We're putting shit together like the house that John built on a hill, cause this shit gonna feel like velvet, turtle. My style fits.
So, pretty crazy stuff, right? And this is just the first episode. But before this video becomes Bleach the recap, I'll deviate a bit harder from here. After all, this video isn't a retrospective, but my own personal love letter to Bleach. Especially the series that, at least when watching the anime and some of the early manga too, is completely different to what it evolves into. To clear up some confusion and explain myself better, I like to think of Bleach as two stories. The story of the part-time, episodic, a little gag comedy slice-of-life hero, and the story of the unfaltering protector who puts everything on the line in order to defend those he loves. Because early Bleach is really different, and that's good. Watching this show in its infancy is akin to a warm hug from a long-lost friend, and it's only added upon when you know who made the killer soundtrack for Bleach, the legendary Shiro Sajisu. Known for his work on the iconic Neon Genesis Evangelion soundtrack, he also composed the entirety of Bleach's original soundtrack and has even worked on some soundtracks for Berserk specials and OVAs. In his first album for Bleach, he really just nails every song, with it enhancing and also illustrating perfectly the emotions, vibe, and feel of scenes thanks to his work. I mean, almost everyone knows those first few notes of On the Precipice of Defeat, or Number 1 by now. Sajisu also tends to really show his skill when he works on more somber, melancholy tracks. Going Home is really a perfect name for this track, when it creates an image in the mind of the viewer, returning home after a long journey, and that familiar place is just over the horizon. That's enough about the soundtrack though. As amazing as it is, I'd like to direct your attention to how I love Bleach's world building as it pertains to the early tight-knit community of Ichigo's friends in Karakura Town. First off, I'll introduce his family, starting with Yuzu and Karin. These are Ichigo's little sisters who both adore each other to no end. On the other side of the spectrum, however, is Isshin Kurosaki, Ichigo's widower father. Although he loves all of his children dearly, he seems to be the eccentric type, oftentimes fighting with his son. They all live at the Kurosaki clinic, as although seemingly incompetent in times, Isshin is a well-known doctor. Over the course of a few episodes, we learn more and more about Ichigo's daily life and how taxing it is for him to maintain his new status quo as the substitute Soul Reaper. Now that Rukia has lost a majority of her powers, it's up to Ichigo to step in and take out Hollows on her behalf. Since the first episode, it's majorly just story beats of Ichigo taking out Hollows and tiptoeing around being a Shinigami for a while, which ends up having the neat twist of him not having a secret identity to maintain. So those of his friends with the affinity to see or sense spirits eventually find out he does have Soul Reaper powers, and honestly they kinda don't really give a shit about it. This is a neat trope that reminds me of Yu Yu Hakusho's Yusuke, and how him and his family and friends are pretty attuned to him just being the spirit detective. And later on in the series, the things that he can and does are really just another Monday. It's really kick-ass, and I love when series do this. Another thing about Bleach's early anime is the oozing 2000s era title card designs for episodes, each with their own personal flair too. Just look at some of these. Switching over a bit to more of the series as a whole, thanks to Tite Kubo's eye for fashion and amazing art direction, we get awesome works such as this that show off his passion for the art form and his attention to detail for his character's looks and stylistic choices personally. Kubo had one sixth sense of fashion, and these covers and pieces still hit different more than a decade after publishing. Bleach's cultural impact is not to be understated. It is Shonen Jump's 7th biggest franchise of all time as of publishing, and it's still in their top 10 when it comes to overall revenue. Gege Akutami and Yuki Tabata, both known for the popular Jujutsu Kaisen and Black Clover series respectively, have both listed Bleach as their biggest influence on their own works, showing that Kubo was truly able to influence with his work, and also further solidifying Bleach as a genuine member of the Big Three. With that being said, I hope you enjoyed this video. It was fun to make, and I hope to make more interpersonal content to share with my channel, along with diversifying the format and things covered in my videos. Thanks for watching, and before leaving, don't forget to leave a like, and maybe even a comment, and if you're new, hit that subscribe button and maybe even ring the notification bell. Stay frosty, guys. Peace.